Welcome to our session on implementing sustainability. We're going to look at some standard implementation tools from a sustainable point of view and some not so well-known tools that suit the sustainable point of view extremely well. We're going to take our task list and lay it out in a project schedule with relevant interconnections made visible. Then, recognizing that plans don't always go as planned, we're going to use systems thinking to take a preemptive look at the possibilities so we can make contingency plans. And finally, we're going to plan holistically for the future using scenario planning. By the end of the session, you'll be able to create sophisticated charts and graphics showing your colleagues how to prepare for the near, medium, and longer term situations. First, let's take a look at the shortest time frame for planning, that of planning a sustainability improvement project. We're going to do that using a scheduling tool known as a Gantt chart. You've probably seen them before. The Gantt chart lays out your project tasks along a calendar so that you can clearly see how long each task will take and how many are happening simultaneously or sequentially, especially if a task depends on the prior task to be completed before it can start. It's important to know what the standard symbols and icons mean. The first symbol with the hooks at each end is used for a summary task, such as a major phase of a project. Then there are the bars denoting tasks, which can be different colors for different categories. The arrow is used to show a relationship between tasks, indicating that one task can't start until another one is finished. This gives you a more complete view of the interconnections of the tasks and the potential risks of delay, allowing you to make some contingency plans. And finally, we have the diamond for a milestone, generally used to indicate the end of a summary task or a phase of the project. Excel has really expanded its Gantt chart templates. They're easy to use, but at the present time, they don't have the feature for linking tasks to show relationships. That is, to show that a prior task must be completed before starting the next task. You could create and insert an L-shaped arrow to show those relationships. MS Project is one of the more widely used project management apps. Project management software is a bit pricey, but it does more than just linkages. It also has a lot of power to manage project resources. Students can get a copy of MS Project for free from SPC, and I would certainly take advantage of that. Start with generating a task list for your project. One good way of doing that is using a tree diagram, which we learned earlier. Try to be as thorough as you can, although you will find yourself adding additional tasks as you put them into your Gantt chart. Please note that tree diagrams are brainstorming tools, and so they are not in sequence. You can use your activity network or the activity network to help you put the tasks in sequence and determine the time durations. Fortunately, the templates and programs used for program management are pretty easy to use. The three parts that are essential are the tasks, start dates, and length of time, either the number of days or the end date. Start with typing in the tasks and then add the start dates and times. Some templates allow you to categorize the tasks as milestones or other categories that help color code the chart. You can assign the task to members of your team. And finally, you can use the Gantt chart as a living document and update the progress of each task during team meetings. Now it's your turn. Practice creating a Gantt chart using a template or specialized project management software. Next, good sustainability managers will take a systems approach to the implementation of a project. Even the best plans can be sidelined by events, so it's important to have thought through those possibilities and the possible alternate paths that will allow you to still complete the project. One planning tool that can help you is the Process Decision Progress Chart, or PDPC. This is one of the 7 management and planning tools, just as the tree diagram and the activity network, also known as the PERT chart. Its purpose is to hypothesize what-if scenarios and construct countermeasures. As you can see in this illustration, the left-hand side is the plan, and the right-hand side addresses contingencies that will address your problems or potential problems. Start with the same tree diagram that you created when starting your project planning process, or use the same process to create one now. Place the branches in sequential order of implementation. That often requires rotating the chart from horizontal to vertical, but use the orientation that fits best. Don't go into more detail than needed. Stay at 2 levels or less. After 2 levels, ask what could go wrong, or what various paths could this step take. Identify the potential problem areas. Brainstorm countermeasures for each contingency. And then evaluate the solutions in advance. This helps you balance people, planet, and profit, because it allows you to think through potential problems that could throw you out of balance. When you run into problems without having identified solutions in advance, you tend to make decisions under stress and with insufficient information. Hasty decisions can have unintended consequences. You can behave more sustainably when you take this extra planning step. Now it's your turn. Develop a PDPC for a project or your overall strategic plan. This can be done on paper or on your computer. If you're using Microsoft Word, the SmartArt hierarchy graphics can reduce the time and effort. There are also some free or low-cost software apps like Lucidchart or Inspiration that can help make this easy. If you're going to be doing a lot of graphics, these can be a big help. Finally, sustainability managers need to be able to operate or complete projects under any circumstances. Holistic thinking allows you to forecast potential futures, to plan ahead for major shifts in the natural or political or customer environment. A good tool for this is scenario planning. In this, you'll examine a couple of key factors or drivers that influence the success of a business or project. In this simple example, you are planning a day next week with your child, and you can go to a neat museum, or would it be better to plan a fun project at home? There are 2 key factors: whether or not the museum is open and whether or not the weather cooperates. This gives you 4 possible scenarios, and you should plan for all 4. Here are the steps in scenario planning. First, your business or project team comes together to make a decision. You need to identify the key factors needed for success, factors such as people starting to behave more sustainably, or the number of customers needed to break even. What is your desired outcome? What assumptions are you making? Then, find the driving forces that can affect the desired outcomes. Things like the economy, is it good or bad? Government actions, do they support your industry or not? Weather, will it be an active hurricane season or not? Customers, do they see your products in your business as all the same and search for the lowest price? Or do they want unique, specialized products and are willing to pay a premium? Or the pandemic, will the path of a pandemic improve or worsen? Select two of the most important and uncertain factors and driving forces. Use those to create a scenario matrix, which we'll explain step by step over the next few slides. Once you've created your matrix, you'll develop plans for each quadrant of the matrix. Here is a good example of using a new internet business. The first dimension is whether starting a business selling your particular product or service is easy or difficult. It's easy to start an internet business, but certain sectors may be saturated or dominated by few businesses. This can change over time, so you can modify your plan, your products, or your services to meet a slightly different market segment. The other dimension is the uncertainty of customer desires. Do they prefer a basic product at a good price, or do they want a wide variety? Once you have identified the dimensions, you analyze the four quadrants. In this case, the first one is easy entry, but strong established competitors. That's when you have an easy market entry, but there are few choices in prices that customers prefer. The second is easy entry, but there are frequent attacks from newcomers because it's easy entry and there are a lot of choices and a lot of prices. The third, with a difficult market entry, is highly regulated, but once started, you can pick off your competitors. And the last is hard to enter and hard to be innovative, so you have to be like your competition. One of these quadrants will be the most favorable for your business or nonprofit. One will probably be very bad, but you need to be able to succeed in each one. The third step is optional, but fun. It helps you communicate the different scenarios to the people who need to understand your strategies. Visuals can help too. For example, the quadrant in which there is easy market entry, but the customers are looking for basic partners and so are happy with few choices and prices, there are likely to be a few giants, established competitors dominating the market. The people who designed this example called this Jurassic Park, highlighting the big monsters eating the weaker businesses. The last step is to rehearse your possible futures. What can you do to have a successful business in each quadrant? In the Jurassic Park, you may want to have a unique product that the giants covet and offer to buy you out, like Facebook did with the virtual reality headset, paying over $1 billion for Oculus. That would be nice. Here are a couple of other real-world examples. D2D was International Computer Limited's manufacturing division. The management team had produced a 5-year strategic plan, and they developed two scenarios for the future, shown in this figure. Coral Reef, at top left, was a colorful IT world with many small companies, a hectic pace of development, and consumer and business customers interested in the latest products. Deep Sea on the bottom right, was a world in which few large suppliers dominated their own territory for both consumer electronics and business computing, and customers preferred dealing with those established suppliers because they were big enough to sue. The Millennium Ecosystem Assessment addressed the consequences of ecosystem change for human well-being. In this case, they looked at a reactive ecosystem management versus a proactive ecosystem management in the north-south dimension, and globalization versus regionalization. So when they looked at each one of the quadrants, they saw global orchestration at top left depicted a globally connected society that focuses on global trade and economic liberalization and takes a reactive approach to ecosystem problems, but that also takes strong steps to reduce poverty and inequality. In the order from strength, this scenario represents a regionalized and fragmented world concerned with security and protection, emphasizing primarily regional products and paying little attention to public goods, taking a reactive approach to the ecosystem problems. Economic growth rates are the lowest of the scenarios. In adapting mosaic, at the bottom right, in this scenario, regional watershed scale ecosystems are the focus of political and economic activity. Local institutions are strengthened, and local ecosystem management strategies are common. The societies develop strongly proactive approaches to the management of ecosystems. And then the last is the techno garden. This scenario depicts a globally connected world relying strongly on environmentally sound technology, using highly managed, often engineered ecosystems to deliver ecosystem services, and taking a proactive approach to the management. Economic growth is relatively high and accelerates, while the population is in the mid-range of the scenarios. So this particular scenario plan, it looks like the techno garden is the way that is the preferred way, but they don't necessarily have the choice, so they have to be able to operate in each one of them. Now it's your turn. Take a decision that you need to make in your business, nonprofit, or project. First, identify the two most important and uncertain dimensions. Then analyze each quadrant and put a short description in the quadrant. Finally, write down the actions that you would take as you saw in the previous situations unfolding. For fun, name each dimension and find a photo or illustration that characterizes what happens with the confluence of these two dimensions. In this session, we have looked at the various ways to implement your sustainability plans. We covered the Gantt chart for detailed task planning, the PDCC for contingency planning, and scenario planning for holistic forecasting. And you have had, or you will have, the opportunity now to practice those. The next steps in implementing your sustainability projects is to make sure they work. Do they actually achieve the more sustainable facilities, operations, or behaviors that you intended? Monitor and evaluate the results of your plan. You can use continuous improvement tools and techniques, which we'll cover later, to keep moving forward.